Good morning. This is Erica with Launching Legacies. Welcome to our morning devotional. Today we are continuing our devotional on proof that you can love, and we are looking at 1 John, the 4th chapter. We are talking about today balancing the equation. And so we're going to look at 1 John 4 and 19. Now we're going to get back to the other portion of it, but I want to do this devotional today and then end with something that's very important. So I hope that you also watch tomorrow. Now we're going to look at 1 John 4:19, and the verse says, "We though are going to love." Okay, remember this is the Message paraphrase. It says, "We are going to love and be loved. First we were loved, and now we love. He loved us first." Okay? So if anyone boasts, "I love God," and goes right on hating his brother or sister, thinking nothing of it, then he is a liar, and he doesn't love. And the person he can see, how can he love the person that he can't see? The command we have from Christ is blunt. Loving God includes loving people. You've got to love both. Okay. So again, that's the Message paraphrase. 1 John, starting with the 19th chapter and ending at the end of that chapter. 19th verse, ending at the end of that chapter. Now, what does the passage have to do with balancing the equation? What is it saying? He says, listen, this is the order of how we do things, like the order of how we solve an equation, right? First, God loved us, and then we love, right? And so first, we have to know that God loved, and because he loved, we can love, right? We love him and we love everybody else. So think about when you're doing an equation, right? An equation is that type of problem that has an equal sign in the middle. And when we have an equation with the equal sign in the middle, the whole objective is to get everything on the left side to be equal to everything on the right side. So if I have an equation that says 2 plus 2, the equal sign tells me that the answer has to equal what 2 plus 2 is, which is 4. Okay, so what is it saying here? In the proof that we can love, God is saying this. He's like, listen, because God, the 2, has loved you, the second 2, then it equals the 4 that's on this side. But you got to know first that God loved you first, okay? And after loving you, then he allowed you the potential to love. And in you loving him back, you got the ability to love others. But it says really clearly in the scripture, listen, there's no way that you're saying you love God if you don't love your brother. There's no way that you're doing that. And so what is the proof here that you can love? Because God is not going to ask you to do something that you're not capable of doing. He says, I've made you capable by loving you first. That was my effort towards your proof that you can love. I made you capable of it because I have first loved you. And then at the end of this chapter, we go to the 21st verse. The command is this. It says, the command we have from Christ is blunt, according to the paraphrase. Loving God includes loving people. You've got to love both. Okay, just like an equation, you've got to balance both. You can't have a whole bunch of X's on one side and Z's on the other side and say that they're equal. No, they have to both be balanced. You have to have the same thing on this side of your equation as this side of the equation. And so what is he saying? He says, I've given you what you need in order to balance this equation. I've given you enough love, okay, to balance this equation. That's why God is saying, I started with love, right? I started by saying, I love you. So I gave you the 6 apples, right? I gave you 6 apples. Now I want you to balance the 6 apples between this people, me, okay, me and these people, right? And he says, so if you have 6 apples, how do you balance this equation? Sally has 6 apples, right? All of them 6 apples came from God. God wants her to balance the equation with Bobby, right? So how many apples do Sally and Bobby both get so that they have an equal amount of apples? Okay, well, the answer is 3, right? Sally has 3 apples, Bobby has 3 apples, and they are balanced in this thing. And God is saying the same thing to you and I. In this passage, he says, listen, I started it off by giving you the love, right? Or giving you these apples to balance this equation. My only requirement of you is that some belong to me because I've given this to you, right? You're loving me, but in loving me, you have to realize that I love everybody else. And my intention for everybody else is that you would love them them as well. And so what is he saying? Listen, I'm giving you the love to start off this process. So saying that you can't love isn't true, because I've given you all that you need to do it, right? We talked about already that the love of God equips us, when we talked about the multiplicative property, allows us to love others. That is part of the beginning part of it. Then we looked at the zero property, right? Which said that if God has forgiven with this zero, right? He's allowed us to be multiplied by the zero for forgiveness, then we can forgive, because we can use the same multiplication property of zero and say we can balance out all the things that have been done wrong, because that's what Christ was able to do. And he did it for us. And since we were forgiven, we became a zero. Okay. Then we can, by multiplying ourselves, our forgiveness with other people, we can allow them to be forgiven as well, right? We're multiplying this zero all the way through, balancing that out. But then the next thing is saying, he's like, look, I started with giving you love. I gave you all of this bushel of love. Okay. And now I just want you to evenly distribute it. Why is he saying that? He says, listen, the love is not just for you and I to share. This is for you to give to everyone else. So here goes the encouragement. You can balance the equation. And it's just like all these other principles we talked about. You could choose to do them incorrectly, right? And get the wrong answer. But the right answer is always going to be love. But it is a choice, right? We have to dedicate ourselves to wanting to get these problems correct, to wanting to balance out our equation. We have to dedicate ourselves to wanting to demonstrate love, to wanting to use that zero to forgive both sides, right? We have to want to use that, and it's a choice. So this is proof that you can love, but the question is, will you love? Will you do it? Well, I hope that you will, but again, it's a choice. Now we're going to continue and actually finish this devotional tomorrow with our last mathematical proof that you can love. But I'd like you to meditate on this concept. Now, some people think that all they have to do is love God. They don't need to love a person. They don't think that they need to balance this equation out. And the truth is, it will always be the wrong answer if your equation is balanced. 2 plus 3 does not equal 7. You have to balance your equation, okay? And so if you want your equation to be balanced, if you want what's on one side of the equal sign to truly be equal to this other side and the problem to be correct, then you have to recognize the importance and significance of love, and not just who you pick and choose to love. It just says love your brother. And who is our brother? Everyone is our brother. And so we love all. We don't just love some. And how does that work? Well, tomorrow we're going to talk about that component, the last piece of the proof that is vital to understanding what has kept us from loving, and the last proof that you can love. Until tomorrow, we'll be praying for you. We hope that you're praying for us. We'll see you then. Have a wonderful day and be blessed.